Welcome to the Monday Monologue. This week I'm excited to get this 2A3 amp all finished up. And there was a little, I'm not going to say panic, but it was like, this thing doesn't sound quite right. And I was playing around with some stuff, and that's going to be kind of the subject of this video. I've been one of those people that's very skeptical about this whole idea that things like resistors and wire and things like that really make much difference in the sound. And I was wrong. Resistors can make a huge difference in the voicing of an amplifier. And I'm just starting to get some different resistors and some of the values that are kind of normally used in amplifiers, because I've got a zillion of those PRO2 Vichys that are good sounding resistors. They got a nice, crisp, clean sound to them. But I found when I was voicing this amp that if the amp sounds a little fatiguing, you can stick a carbon film resistor here or there. Like in this amp, I put it on the grid leak resistor. And somebody had told me that changing the grid leak resistor, well, actually, this guy that told me to try it, and I thought, yeah, right, that's not going to make any difference. I was shocked at how much difference it made in the sound of this amp. And so, yeah, I keep just finding things that I really am shocked that make a difference. And I know there's this whole train of thought that people like these kind of push-pull amps that have, that have the tubes that are kind of offsetting each other and canceling out some of the noise. And then those normally have, 15 to 20 dBs of global negative feedback that go around the whole transformer and everything. And yeah, those really do measure well, but I'm just not a big fan of what they sound like. They just sound too sterile to me, and I feel like there's something going on with that push-pull thing and the signal getting reassembled in the output transformer that makes the output transformer super critical, like even more so than in a single init amp. And all that global negative feedback potentially makes the amp less stable or more prone to instability. And there's all kinds of other time constant phase shifts and stuff that, I'll be honest, it's just over my skill set or what I understand about electronics. And I know I've had a couple of people in particular that are like, all the amps you build are the same. This is boring channel or whatever. It's like, you don't have to watch my channel then, because I'm going to stick with kind of what I think sounds good. And I'm not going to build or sell amplifiers that aren't my cup of tea, that I wouldn't sit down and listen to as my main amp. And all the amps that I build, I do listen to. I keep an EL34 around to listen to sometimes. I now going to keep one of these around because this 2A3 sounds really great. And I love my 300B amp. And so, yeah, just want to kind of clear that up. That there's probably not going to be a ton of that kind of stuff on the channel. Again, I do want to play around with these Acrosound 1950s kind of schematics. I'm going to stay away from that Williamson circuit. Although people say they sound really good, it sounds like it's very finicky. And after just getting done bailing on a really finicky tube to work with, I'm not sure I'm really ready for another battle like that. And I'll need some wins here kind of in a row. And so next, we're going to be working on the 300B amp, which I know is going to sound good because I'm using a circuit that I know sounds good. We're just kind of changing some parts around, so that's going to be a fun project to see, get it finalized, add up the prices, and then I can tell you guys, hey, this is what it's going to cost to build this, right? And this amp is just over $1,000 in parts. Just add it up. And fully built without tubes, and that's without tubes, and then built without tubes, I'm going to sell it for $2,200 like this, and then $2,700 if you get some ISO transformers, because that's just the extra cost. And I will say I got a phone call from George at Tubes USA. He's the U.S. importer of ISO iron. And I did misspeak on a video a couple of weeks ago. He corrected me that last fall they had a 15% price increase. It wasn't 25%. So they went up 15%. But since then, the dollar has devalued compared to the yen, which I think the dollar is devaluing to a lot of currencies across the world. So if you live in the U.S., the spending power of our dollar is dropping pretty rapidly, and hopefully it doesn't go off a cliff, but it's definitely less than it was, a year ago. And the other thing that he called me about was that there's a 25% tariff that's supposed to be enacted in August unless they change their mind again. And I don't know. It's frustrating for me that I've got to take, $2,000 of my money to buy some transformers for some in the near future projects to make sure that I don't get stuck paying $1,250 for them because of a tariff. But again, so far they've enacted tariffs and then turn them away in 3 days, or it's just back and forth, and yeah, it's exhausting. So anyway, George called me up and said, if you want these transformers, you better order them now. And I don't think it was just a sales pitch. So if any of you guys are looking for ISO iron for a project, you better hop on it and get them ordered, because August 1st, supposedly, it's going to be 25% increase on anything out of Japan. And so, or 25% tax, which people want to call them tariffs, sales tax, whatever you want to call it. It's 25% more out of your pocket. So anyway, he just asked me to clear up that other misquote that it was 15% instead of 25%, the increase last fall, which they hadn't increased their prices in a couple of years. So that was reasonable. But he did want me to tell you guys about this tariff that's coming. And it's also out of South Korea, but I don't think there's a lot of two parts and stuff coming out of South Korea, but there is a lot of stuff coming out of Japan. So anyway, there's that. And again, I've had fun tuning on this amp. I don't even know if you saw the video. I'm taking a break from that 6C33C for the foreseeable future. I just did some work on it last week. Spent 2 or 3 days, trying different things, powering up both filaments, testing that to make sure that it was stable and wasn't going to thermal run away, and was shocked at how much heat that thing makes when you power up both filaments, and it's still got the same distortion problem. And trying different front end tubes, different chokes, different operating points, doesn't seem to affect anything. I'm now thinking that maybe those EdCore 600 ohm output transformers are just junk. I mean, I've run into some EdCore transformers in the past that were really bad. Some of them are good, some of them are really bad. These may just be really bad ones. And so I'm putting it upstairs, and maybe 6 months or a year from now, I'll revisit that. And yeah, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, I'm just kind of letting myself on the hook on that deal. That wasn't really an amp I was really crazy about doing. The channel seemed interested in it, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And yeah, I'm going to admit defeat. So anyway, trying to think of anything else exciting going on. I've really enjoyed the local audio club. If you're in the Atlanta area, you should come join our club. We've got some live music coming this month, which will be fun. Be a little different thing. And August is the month where we do kind of a little round robin thing where you can go around listening to other people's systems at their houses, which is kind of fun to be able to compare, what you listen to what somebody else's system sounds like, and kind of see how it stacks up, which I found useful to hear other people's systems and go, yeah, my stuff doesn't suck. So yeah, that's kind of a fun thing to do. do have some music this week that I'm really excited about. I picked up this album, and I think I've talked about Art Pepper before. This was an afternoon in Norway, and it's a 2-album set. It's really, really good. Super well recorded. Heard someone in a forum was saying that, they just stay away from live recordings. I think live recordings can be really good if they're done right. Of course, there's some that aren't, but this was a live recording that sounds really, really good. So if you like Art Pepper, like that kind of jazz, give this thing a listen to. I think you'll enjoy it. Always excited when Hugo Kant comes out with a new album, and I spent the money to get the vinyl one, which is coming from someplace in Germany. It's supposed to be here probably the middle of August or something like that, but we'll see. Sometimes it takes a while. But they have been released, so that's cool. The album's been released, and I honestly don't want to listen to it until I get the vinyl. So, jury's still out. One of his albums I wasn't crazy about, but some of the other ones I really love, especially Out of Time. That's one of my favorite albums to listen to. And anyway, if you've never listened to Hugo Kant, I'll put a link to his YouTube channel below. Take a listen to that. Kind of some interesting music. And yeah, that's probably going to wrap it up for this Monday. I don't have a whole lot of new stuff to talk about. And it's the middle of the summer. It's hot. We'll just make this one short and sweet and wrap that up here. So I want to thank all you folks that are subscribers to the channel or regular viewers. Really appreciate all you guys. It's one of the things that makes me keep doing this. I appreciate all you folks, again, that are Patreon members or members of the channel or make donations at the website. I really appreciate that little bit of extra income I get from making these videos. It helps me kind of offset some of the losses I have on projects like that 6C33C, where I probably got $1,000 in that amp, and it's like setting money on fire when you get a project like that. So appreciate all y'all's support, and I know y'all enjoy these Monday monologues. Sorry I missed the one last week. Just wasn't feeling it, so decided to skip it last week. But we got one for this week, so I hope you enjoyed this one. And we will see you next week for the Monday monologue.